So he might be a climate change denier? Is that what it's all about?
In today's video, can reaction channels recognise toxic content? The appeal of reaction content is based, at least partly, on a lack of pre-existing knowledge. You don't react to things that are familiar. That wouldn't make any sense. You have to be shocked by something that you aren't already aware of. Content is usually select on popularity or virality, TikTok compilations, try not to laugh compilations, the 100 most popular memes from X setting. And reactors often take content at face value. They really, offer a real critique of it, because ignorance of the topic is an asset for them. If you know about it, you can't really give a flamboyant reaction if it's just things you're already very familiar with. So saying crazier things will get you more clicks. Next up, Professor Peter Ridd. Oh, sorry, my mistake. Used to be a professor, Peter Ridd. Now, I won't be saying too much about him, because he does appear to be very litigious. He's sceptical of concerns about the health of the Great Barrier Reef and the human impacts on it. His apparent funding from the mining and sugar industries is surely just a coincidence. But I would say that, in my opinion, this man is not a reliable source for anything. There's some obvious issues with this video in particular that we're going to look at. First of it praises Britain's creation of South Africa.
And many other countries that have a great deal to be proud of, such as Malaya, South Africa.
Modern South Africa has many great things about it, including one of the strongest constitutions on the planet. However, South Africa was a global pariah and a white supremacist apartheid state until the 1990s, and during that whole period it was entirely backed by the British government.
India, all wonderful British creations.
He also gives Britain the credit for creating countries such as India, but India's cultural legacy long predates the British Raj. We did unthinkable damage to the whole subcontinent, both during colonisation and in partition when the British Empire left. He also calls Malaysia Malaya, which is the name it had when it was a British colony. Who can say what's going on there? He also says Israel is the only decent country in the Middle East.
Or even the only decent country in the Middle East, which is Israel, courtesy of Mr. Balfour.
And he uploaded that video in 2024, while the world was watching Israel step up its acts of genocide against the Palestinians. He says famine is a thing of the past, which is just not accurate.
Famines are effectively a thing of the past because, well, for one reason, we can shift food around from one place to another.
And he seems to argue that the large populations of countries like the USA today excuse the deaths of natives previously during colonisation.
Now, if you add up all the bad things that the Brits may have done, the Amritsar massacre, the Bengal famine, and all the other bad things that happened. But even if you add all those up, it's not a drop in the bucket compared with what has been achieved and the lives that have saved. How many lives, how many babies, children, were saved by antibiotics and antiseptics, clean water?
And if that is what he's saying, it's quite frankly just utterly abhorrent. To try to get a wider sample, I watched 12 reactions to this awful video, as well as the original source, so I've now seen this nonsense 13 times. I've seen JJLA react to it, as well as Tyler Rumpel, Dar the Traveller, Greg and Lisa react, It's JPS, Killer McKnight, Regeneration Nation TV, Ryan Woozer, Reacting to My Roots, Blanks No One Asked For, Strack Reacts, and The HBK Show. Based on those criteria of picking up on any of those points, let's see how all these channels did, starting with the HBK Show at the bottom. I'm afraid it's a fail for them. Very disappointing because one of those two is actually was a high school teacher, so kind of troubling really. Strack Reacts also seemed to have kind of no troubles watching this video, didn't pick up on anything.
I'm gonna have to subscribe to this channel. I like this dude.
Blanks Don't Ask For didn't really seem to question it. Neither did Reacting to My Roots.
The world's population would still be about 1 billion, which is what it was in about 1800, rather than the...
Wow, he can extrapolate that from like the fact that these inventions were made led to that many more billions of people.
No, Lindsay. No, he can't. He just can't. Dar the Traveller.
That is crazy.
Man, but this, I'm glad y'all recommended it. It's crazy. I never seen this video at all before.
Killer McKnight, it's JPS.
I mean, the United States, we have an incredibly dark history that we still try and cover up to this day. Like, if you're trying to cover things up, that's really not what you should be doing. I think it's important to look at history through a critical lens and really see the past for what it is and move forward and hopefully not make the same mistakes in the future.
I was so hopeful here. I was just so hopeful he was actually going to make a good point.
And yeah, I'm very grateful. I thought it was funny. Like, again, famines don't exist, but there still are a lot of problems with food.
Or Regeneration Nation TV. Now, Tyler, I'm a little bit more disappointed than most because he actually started his video about 1.5 minutes in to the video he's reacting to, which means all those comments about India and South Africa and Israel, you know, the red flags, if you're watching Tyler's reaction to it, you wouldn't know they're even
here today to react and learn about what the British ever did for us.
Because not only did he not react to them, he didn't even include them in his video. He purposely started it after that point. Ryan at least made a comment about that and was like, oh, hello, that's unusual.
Oh my God. Did he just say the only decent country in the Middle East?
Decent country in the Middle East.
Whoa. The guy who committed the Brit who committed a massacre, or was at the head of it, calling for a massacre, was that the same Brit who invented antibiotics?
Honestly, I would have felled Ryan as well, but given that most people made no comment, even acknowledging any of it, you know, that's at least a D from me. Greg and Lisa react. I felt they kind of did similar to Ryan, maybe a little bit better, because Greg actually was like, wait, we need to pause and discuss this a little bit. And admitted he doesn't know that much about it, but, you know, I'll give him credit where it's due.
What?
I don't know if that's
A good thing?
a good thing.
Yeah, because
So, but
there's a negative history there with Israel and
yeah, at least from what I know, I could be wrong though. So I'm open to that. But anyway, we shall continue.
We shall continue.
All right.
In the Middle East, which
And the last person on this list who really takes the prize is JJLA Reacts.
So, I don't know if I agree that Israel's the only good country in the Middle East. I mean, that's... Who is this guy? He got fired for refusing to take down confidential information which he had placed publicly online. The university denied that the dismissal was over Red's views on climate change. Okay, so he might be a climate change denier? Is that what it's all about? It sounds like he's saying, hey everybody, the Great Barrier Reef is fine, stop freaking out about it. So I don't know.
He points out that famines are not a thing of the past.
well, for one
No, they're
reason, we
not.
can ship food around from one place to another.
It still happens because greedy leaders take all the food and it doesn't get to the people.
Now look, it turns
And he also rejects the idea that you can tally up lives saved versus lives lost historically.
I think it's a lot more complicated than that, Peter. Thanks for the inventions. We can learn from the bad stuff. We're all human. We're all the same. We're all cousins. Reef rebels? Hang on now. He says the Great Barrier Reef is fine.
Now, he's by no means the biggest channel on here. He's less than a third the size of Tyler in terms of subscribers. He's like about an eighth of what Regeneration Nation TV's got subscribers. They've got almost 400k. He's only got just less than 50k. You know, Killer McKnight's got 5 times as many subscribers. But none of these guys noticed any of what was going on. And I think that this is not a coincidence. People are more excited to see some crazy reactions, or, you know, they might to comment on something if you seem like you have no idea what's going on. If you're making your own sort of points and you're being quite, like, incisive, there's less for other people to say. But in terms of actually giving a decent response to this, JJLA wins out by far. So what is the purpose of this video? Well, I would argue that it's to promote Western chauvinism.
and the Brits were just part of this magnificent thing which we call Western civilization. Of course, there were French and there were Germans, and the scientific development and advancement then spread to the United States and now to the Far East. It's just bad form not to appreciate what those people did for us. The contribution of the Brits was truly incredible, and we should all be grateful that they came along and did more than virtually any other group to pull humanity out of the appalling, difficult lives that existed before the 1800s.
This video is full of what are either mistakes or possibly misrepresentations. Inventions that were not developed by the UK are still credited to Britain.
Then we have steel bridges, tin cans, selective breeding.
Inventions developed independently in other countries at the same time period are still credited to Britain.
Then we have the jet engine. Yes, the Germans independently invented it in the Second World War. Or in mathematics, and there are a lot here, so I'm going to pick the really big one, which is the invention of calculus, yes. There was another guy called Leibniz who also invented it at the same time, but essentially Newtonian calculus is at the basis of a huge amount of advanced science of engineering. It's as fundamental as algebra and arithmetic. Was essentially discovered by the British. And I'm being a little bit loose there because there is a famous New Zealander involved with this, but frankly in those days Kiwis were basically Brits.
Kiwis were basically Brits 100 years ago? Well, what about the Maori? Constantly, the native peoples are erased in this video. The conclusion is Western chauvinism. Everything wrong or biased above was just leading us down the garden path.
Now, without those advancements, our lives would be short, harsh, and frankly just bloody horrible. The world's population would still be about 1 billion, which is what it was in about 1800, rather than the roughly 8 billion that it is today without that wonderful science and technology.
I'm sure in Canada and Australia and other European nations is all like, oh, all these bad things of conquest or whatnot. But it's
like you said, that's not a drop in the bucket compared to
no, it's not.
The positive that has been brought into the world.
Right.
I mean, those, you gotta say, like you said, those goods definitely gonna outweigh those bads.
I think it's a lot more complicated than that, Peter.
So what's my conclusion? Well, first of all, Britain is not superior to other countries. Other people, given time and resources, would have discovered those inventions as well, and in many cases, they did at the same time. And final thought, go and subscribe to JJLA Reacts, because after this he really deserves it. If you enjoyed my video, please like and subscribe for more content.